Hello, everybody. This is Romi, in case you don't know who I am. And this is Mark, who's hiding down farther.
I'm not hiding.
Tonight, we're going to do a little bit something different. So I'm not usually the one that does the presenting on these sizzles. I usually try and get somebody else that you guys don't know, or somebody that you guys have suggested and that you wanted to hear from. And some of you know my story and some of you don't know my story. So I thought that tonight I would take this time to kind of share my story, but then I also have a little presentation that I wanted to do. So I'm gonna share my screen and hope that it works. Can everybody see that? So I thought I'd start off with something a little fun. This is actually on my website, and it was just something that I did for fun before. So I am from Minnesota. I've lived all over the place. My dad worked for the government when I was a kid, and so we moved around a lot. And I didn't like it so much when I was a kid, but it just so happened that it kind of put a little bit of the wandering blood in me. So I actually feel kind of held back a little bit if we're not moving around much. So this is just something a little bit fun. So the name of our presentation tonight is going to be, let's see here. It takes grit. So
Is that on? Because we're...
Is everything okay, Kenzie? Okay.
Sorry.
So I did some, I just happened upon, I listened to Lisa Bevere today, which was something that was really, really powerful for me, and it gave me the idea for this presentation. And so a little bit about how I got here and my story, and I'm going to try and do this as compliantly as possible so we can share the recording. So how I found doTERRA is I had some health issues, and I ended up going back and forth to the doctor, and I ended up having surgery, and the surgery put me into surgical menopause. And so when I was talking to the doctor about having the surgery, by that time I was pretty fed up and tired of everything that was going on. And the doctor said, well, this will put you into menopause, you know. And I said, well, I don't care. I'm already having the hot flashes, and I'm already having the symptoms. Well, all I knew at the time of menopause and symptoms was hot flashes. I didn't know any of the other things that came with that as side effects. So I had the surgery, and about 3 days later, the emotional side effects hit. And the emotional side effects for me were really, really rough. It was occasional sadness every day. Honestly, I don't know how to do it in a compliant way, because my life was absolutely pure hell. And so it was just bad. I tried for 2 years to find different things that would help me. I used Western medicine. I went to a naturopath. I did the vitamin IVs. I did all of that stuff. And it just kept getting worse and worse. And so I ended up having to take time off from work. So I ended up being on FMLA for, it was like 12 weeks, something like that. And because I just couldn't function at work anymore, because life was it just got really bad. And so it just so happened that I ended up on Facebook one night, because Facebook for me was a way to escape from life, really. And so I played Farm Town on Facebook. And I had Laterran's login, so I would go into Laterran's login to be able to send me flowers on Farmtown. And it just so happened that I ended up seeing an interaction with Natalie on Facebook, and she was talking about doTERRA. So I sent her a message and just asked if doTERRA had anything that might help me. And so the next week I met with Natalie, and she went over everything. Actually, she sent me a webinar that Dr. Hill did on hormones and all of that. And with all the doctors that I had seen and all the research that I had done and the professionals that I had talked to, none of them helped me like the webinar that Dr. Hill did on the hormones. And it just made everything click for me. So that is really was the convincing point for me that this might be something that I could use. And so I ended up going and meeting with Natalie. She talked about the oils, and it was really weird. I had not had any experience with oils at all. I had been interested in herbs for a long time, but just kind of played around with them. And to me, the idea of using oils for anything was just weird. And so the only reason that I did it is that there was just something about Natalie that I trusted. And so I trusted her, and I took the leap, and I did, I started with the Family Physicians Kit. So one of the things that we also talked about in there is that we talked about my job and how toxic my job was. And so that's when she had started the conversation about having, about doTERRA being able to help me with income and help me to be able to quit my job. So at that point I said, I hate sales. I hate everything about sales. I will never, ever be a salesman, ever. Hate it. And she's like, well, actually, that's good, because we really don't want salespeople. We want people that are just going to that want to help people. So I was like, okay, so that was good for me as well. So that set me on the path to be able to help my health and help me to kind of get on track with my health, but it also gave me a little bit of hope in being able to get out of my job. So I determined that that's what I was going to do. One of the things that I wanted to mention a little bit is is my distrust in network marketing companies. And so I never, when I started off and I was sharing with people, it was no problem for me at all to share the oils with people, but it was a big problem for me to share, to answer the question that doTERRA was one of those MLM companies. And so that was actually a process for me. And over a course of time, that's when I found Eric Worre and Network Marketing Pro. And that's really what helped me to move forward in that. So one of the things that really pushed me into the game as far as doing doTERRA as a business was because I hated my job. This is really hard talking because I can't see you guys, and I'm having a hard time figuring out what I'm doing. I was determined that I was going to quit my job because for 10 years I absolutely loved my job. I loved everything about it. I loved the people. I loved what I did. I just loved it. And then I didn't. It became a very toxic environment, and the health issues that I was having, they were worse when I went back to work. Even though I was on track with the oils and I was on track with my life, when I went back to work from being off for those 12 weeks, it was like another full-time job just to try and stay focused and stay positive because it was such a freaking toxic environment. And so that's why that was one of the things that pushed me forward in doing the business and making sure that that it worked for me, because I couldn't get out of there fast enough. And so what pushes us forward is grit. And so when I found this this definition, and I loved the extra words that go along with the definition. I love courage and pluck. I love the word pluck. And so grit really is courage and bravery and pluck, mettle, backbone, spirit, strength of will, moral fiber, determination, tenacity, perseverance, endurance, and spunk, amongst just a few of them. So that's one of the things that really, as we determine what our why is and why we're doing this, and really what it is that we're doing, that the grit is what's going to keep us strong. The grit is what's going to keep pushing us forward, even in the bad times. So grit is passion and perseverance for very long-term goals. Grit is having stamina. Grit is sticking with your future day in, day out, not just for the week, not just for the month, but for years, and working hard to make that future a reality. Grit is living life like it's a marathon, not a sprint. So I really liked the part with the sticking with your future, day in and day out. We get really excited and we get going, and then all of a sudden it gets hard, and then we slow down and we park. And so it really is, we have to have grit, and we have to keep going in that. We need to measure whether we've been successful. We have to be willing to fail, to be wrong, to start over again with lessons learned. And so I think as we do this, we're afraid to fail. And so we're afraid to step out into doing different things when it comes to building our business, to reaching out to people, to sharing with just life in general. If we're afraid to fail, then we're never going to get off the ground. So a fear of failure search showed 28,879 results on Amazon. How sad is that, really? That means there's a lot of dang people out there that have a fear of failure. And I am one of them. We don't want to make mistakes. We don't want to be embarrassed. There's all different kinds of fear that goes along with the decisions that we make and the actions that we take. So what if people don't see results? When we share the oils with people, or we share the opportunity, or anything that goes along with the business, what if people don't see results? What if they do see results? So the fear of us not reaching out can stop many, many things for people in their lives. It can stop their dreams. It can affect their health. It can affect their life. So if Natalie would have been in that fear of reaching out, I could very easily not be here today, because life was really that bad. And so that's one of the things that I think about when we talk about being afraid to reach out to somebody. There's somebody out there that really needs us. We don't know what their needs are, but if we take that step and take that chance and get outside of ourselves, we could be that solution for somebody's lack of hope or whatever is happening in their life. So that's where we just need to do it, whether we're afraid or not. Just do it, because you never know. Once you become fearless, life becomes limitless. And we talked a little bit last week about just kind of pushing through those fears. And there's lots of times that I'm afraid, and I just do it anyway. You just kind of breathe or hold your breath or whatever you got to do, but just do it. And the next time it'll just be that much easier. Your ability to manage fear of failure is imperative. The supremely gritty push beyond the fear. Like excellence, grit is an attitude about seeking, striving, finding, and never yielding. So we did in Leader Circle, in one of the Leader Circles that I was part of this week, we actually did a webinar that was on the why, and it really helped to dig in deep to be able to really help us with our why. And our why is always changing. And there's going to be some basics of our why, but there's going to be layers that are added to it or taken away. For those of you that participated in the challenge and Rockstars today, those are really good examples of why. and what it looks like to be doing doTERRA as a business. And it's not just doing doTERRA as a business, it's doing life. And it's having that strong why that's going to keep us going forward to be able to help somebody else do life in a good way. So grit really is a matter of attitude. And so if you're wondering if you have grit, then get some attitude, because this really is about your attitude. Your success in your business is not about your leader. It's not about your leaders that are underneath you that are not doing anything. It's time to fire your upline and get some attitude. I would never say I am a diamond, I am a blue diamond, or anything else like that. My success of my business is not because Natalie did it for me. So I wouldn't give credit to my upline for my success. Why would I blame my upline if I'm not successful? So it's time to get attitude, figure out what you want to do with your business, jump in there and do it, and make it yours, because it's your business, nobody else's. Move beyond your ability and your limits. Move into what's been put into your heart. What is in your heart has been placed there for a reason. I believe totally, wholeheartedly that we all have a purpose. We all have a destiny. We have something that only we can do. Only we can do. Individually, there's something very special about each individual one of us that has something to do. When it comes to reach, I believe that there are people out there that are waiting for just us to reach out to them. And when we're afraid and we don't take that step to reach out, then they are the ones that are going to suffer. So live your life at your best, because your life can be as good or as bad as you want it to be. It really is all up to you. The greatest fear in the world is of the opinions of others. And the moment you are unafraid of the crowd, you are no longer a sheep. You become a lion. A great roar arises in your heart, the roar of freedom. So for some reason, the word freedom just does something to my heart. And it does something to my spirit. And that's why we have the hashtag True Freedom, because true freedom is so many things. And when I did the exercise for the why yesterday, I did it specifically just to kind of see what they were doing. And I wanted to really get in there and participate in that exercise. And what it does is that it causes you to go deep into your why. And when I first started off with my why, I wanted my why to be acceptable to society. I was afraid of what people were going to think if I didn't have the correct why, if I didn't have the correct words. And in doing that exercise, it just helped me to dig in deep. And so I realized that my why is leading people into freedom, because I felt so stifled for most of my life because I was afraid of what other people were going to think, of what I was doing, what I was saying, what I looked like, all of that. And once I stepped out of that, and mind you, it's a daily self-talk sometimes of what are people thinking of what I'm doing, right down to the motorhome that I was going to buy. Oh my gosh, what if somebody thinks that I'm a bad person because I spend too much money on the motorhome, the home that I'm going to live in, my home. And I'm worried about that. Seriously? So it gets to where it's, once you move into that freedom and you can really, even when those thoughts come of what are people going to think, and you can talk those thoughts down and move forward, then that's where freedom starts. And then you get to teach people out, everybody else, and you get to lead other people into freedom. And doTERRA is that tool to lead people into freedom. People get to stay home with their kids. People get to travel. People get to do ministries. People get to do all kinds of things. Their heart's desires. We have dreams that have been placed in our hearts since we were children. The motorhome is a childhood dream of mine. That doesn't make sense. Why would I have a childhood dream of having a bus? That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But who knows why that's there? And so it's not for us to question why that dream is there. It really is. It's our responsibility to make that dream come alive, to act on that, and to jump out there and get that freedom and lead other people to freedom. So that is what I have for that. And I told you guys that you would be able to ask questions and we could talk about business. I know that there's actual business activity questions that some people have. If you want to talk about this presentation, we can do that. It really is an open forum for you. We've had people present and we have little questions afterwards a lot of times, but I want you to feel free to just ask questions. So the floor is yours.
I have a question, Romi.
Okay.
Have you guys named the bus yet?
Have we made the bus?
Have you named it?
We haven't. Not yet. We have had some really good suggestions, though. Really good suggestions.
I wanted to name it Otis, but she shot me down.
I have a question, Romi.
Okay.
How long from like when you first were ill and you started out and you decided you're going to make it a business, how long of really truly like intensive work did you put in before it became something that you were able to see finally there was some wiggle room and some freedom starting to emerge?
I actually quit my job in a year. So I worked and then I worked doTERRA as well. So I made silver in a year. And so how that worked is that I asked Natalie how much money she made. And I know some people that freaks them out. They don't want to talk about money, but for me that was really important. And so so she told me that she made $5,000. I needed $3,000 to quit my job. And so because I trusted her, I figured that if Natalie could make $5,000, then I should be able to make $3,000. That seemed like a big stretch, but I was willing to do the stretch. And so I would say, because at the time it seemed like it was going at a pretty good clip for me. Looking at how some people build now, I think it was actually slow, the way that it was slow for me. I mean, Cresta made silver way, way, way faster than I made silver, way faster. So within 6 months, I was getting regular money coming in, and I was able to see and believe that this was going to keep on going and my income was going to increase. And so it was probably even a little less than 6 months.
I have a follow-up question to that too. So during that, and I apologize, you might hear a screaming baby in the background. She's all set. During that 6 months, were you like physically teaching classes, or were you like sending out flyers? I had several ideas, but I feel like the things that I've done have not really panned out. I've done classes and had a great response, I followed up, and then it kind of peters out. So I was just so curious, like what do you think made your success in those 6 months? What was like the thing?
Well, I did not do classes. I did everything on the internet. And so I spent a lot of time researching and learning and finding people. I would we actually went to Day with the Diamonds. So I enrolled the end of March. We went to a Day with the Diamonds event in July. And so Christian Overton was actually there, and he was talking about doing social media stuff. So I actually called him. You want to talk about cold call. I just called him and said, can you give me some ideas here? And so it was awesome. He gave me some great ideas. And so I spent the rest of the time doing a lot of looking for people online and building relationships online. In the meantime, I had little packets of samples that I would hand out. So wherever I went, I was handing out samples and business cards. And it was a huge practice for me to do that cold contact part of stuff. It just scared me to death. I'm totally introverted. What's that?
I am too. It's my hugest hurdle is people don't see me as an introvert because I can mask it very well, but the thought of going out and doing what you're saying makes me want to throw up in my mouth. Like I can't get past it. And so and I knew you were like this. I'm dying to hear, what did you just get over yourself? They said grit, and I was like, oh, I need grit. So I'm very curious.
Yeah, I just did it. And when I first started doing it, it was actually as practice. So it was kind of like I just pretended that it wasn't real. And one of the things that I also that also helped me is that I divorced myself from the outcome. So it was kind of like I would tell myself, oh, I don't care. I'm just doing this. I don't care if they say yes. I don't care if they say no. I'm just going to do it, because I knew each time I did that, it would help me. And so now it's very easy for me to do. I just spit it out. And so I don't know if you saw the post that I did in Rockstars the other day about the picture of the business cards.
No, I'll go look at it. I didn't.
So that's actually one of the things that I use as practice. And it's not only practice, but it's also an opportunity to make connections. So wherever I go, whether it's where there's vendors or whoever I meet, I always look for an opportunity to get their card or give them my card. And so it's kind of, Mark and I have actually done some competitions to see who can get rid of their cards first, or but to count the amount of cards that we collect as well. And then I also make sure, try and get hooked up with them on Facebook. Now that doesn't mean that every single one of them become anything, but it gives me practice, and it gives me an opportunity to have another connection, because it may not be the person that I got the business card from, but that person has a whole network of people on their friends list or as they're following.
Okay, thank you for that. I found the business cards. I'll take a look at it. Thank you.
One thing that Romi's always said too, that this was kind of her philosophy from the beginning, was that she really didn't care if they enrolled or not, because in the end, she ended up with another friend. She got a new friend out of the whole thing. So if you look at it that way, no matter what, if they enroll with doTERRA or they don't or whatever, you got a new friend in your life, and it's somebody new in your life that's going to be a great benefit.
That's a good point.
The other thing too is that the contacts that I made on Facebook that were a cold contact that I just reached out to, I don't have one contact like that on Facebook that I didn't pray about for first. Every single contact is through a prompting.
That's awesome. That's actually something that Homer and I have absolutely in the last probably 2 weeks. We started talking about praying over. We read it in the leadership magazine about praying over the Lord to draw people to us and also to put people on our hearts.
Yep. Yep. I have some I wish I would have journaled. I have some very, very cool experiences doing that. So, and if the idea of praying about who you're going to reach out to kind of freaks you out, then listen to your gut, intuition, however you want to do it. But it really is. We have those promptings, we have those inklings. They're there for a reason. Just don't be afraid to just act on it.
There's many that were definitely divine appointments.
Anybody else?
How did you develop your leaders or find your leaders, or did they come to you and say, hey, I want to do this too?
Well, my first leader is my first love, and that's Lateran. So I did my family. My leaders are people that are close to me. Cresta is actually the only one that was given to me as a gift, and I am like beyond grateful for. The rest are people that have been in my life, and so it really was a way to be able to bless them because I knew what was coming. By the time I started really going into the business part of it, I knew what was coming, I believed. And with Lateran, she joined me right away, probably kicking and screaming just a tad. But with Lateran, I was hoping that what Natalie said was true. And so if what Natalie said was true, I wanted the people that I love to be with me in that. So now I have some extra leaders that I'm bringing on, and they are cold leaders. I actually have one that I met in Montana while we were on the road, and it was totally an oil introduction, and it is it's a matter of just kind of throwing it out there. I know you're going to be awesome at this. I know you are going to frickin' rock this out. But in the meantime, use the oils, do what you need to do. But I'm putting you in a special place because when you go, you're going to go. So.
It's funny you say that, Romi, because I see that like when I'm at a class or just meeting even some people online, you can just kind of tell. Do you feel like you just kind of get that?
Oh, yeah.
I know they're awesome. Like, and they may sit there for a while and I think, oh, I put them on my top line. Okay. You just kind of look at them. But, I really think you can just kind of tell those people that are just going to be the right ones.
Right.
And I don't know, I always say it's my communication degree that I do that, because I know some of my leaders have asked me, how did you know, or why? I said, I treat almost everybody as if they could, and I just look for the signs of the interest.
Yeah. And I believe 100% that everybody has the potential. The difference in the ones that have the potential and do something and the ones that have the potential and don't do something, I totally believe is the personal development. You cannot stay in as the person that you are and expect for everything else in your life to progress. You have to do personal development because that's where the success comes from. And that's what the big leaders in doTERRA, the big leaders in all businesses really, they talk about that the success, it's not necessarily the success, it's who you become in the success. And that's personal development. You can't just sit and watch just mindless TV. You can't sit and just feed your mind and your heart with junk and whine and moan and groan and not take the steps to make your life better and expect your life to be better. Period. So we all have the potential. It's just a matter of what we're going to do with the potential that matters.
Can you talk a little bit of what kind of personal development things that you do so that way we can share that with our leaders? As I know the things that I do, I like to read. I've got some that don't like to read. What are the different things, or if you had, your top 10 personal development things to do, what would those be?
Well, when I started, like I said, I did a lot of research on how to do this. So I had absolutely no idea how to do any of this. I didn't even know how to do a blog. So everything was self-taught. So a lot of the personal development that I did in the beginning was technique stuff, how to get in there, how to do business. Ray Higdon was actually one that I started following in the beginning, and that's what moved me into the path of attraction marketing. And so that's one of the things that really clicked for me. And but I like that kind of stuff. I find people on Facebook that resonate with me. So like Sandra Krakowski, she is awesome. I resonate with her because of faith, because of how she does her business and just the things that she does. So she throws different teaching things out there daily. And so I follow her. I follow Lisa Bevere. And so I go through and I look for different things that are gonna help me with my day. John Maxwell is absolutely amazing when it comes to leadership skills. And so he has his 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. That's my favorite leadership book. It is so, so good. It's super easy to read. It's done in story format with some of that. I'm not good when it comes to like nitty gritty detail and statistics and stuff like that. I can be in a book and they'll be sharing a story in the book and they move it into statistics and I'm like off in Neverland. I have absolutely no idea what I'm reading. And so I like the way that John Maxwell reads. So I have Audible, and Les Brown is one that I absolutely love to listen to and read. So he's on YouTube. You can get Les Brown on Facebook. He does amazing posts every day. And he, did I say Audible? Oh no, and he's on Audible. So we have Les Brown on Audible. So when we're traveling, we listen to Les Brown as we're just traveling. So some people hate to read, then the Audible is awesome for that. So there's some amazing devotion books. I have devotion books that I use. My Bible there. I have, when we transported our stuff out of the trailer, we were talking about how much stuff we still have. And Mark has lots of clothes. Good Lord. And I have lots of books. And we're talking about getting rid of stuff. And he's like, well, you could get rid of your books. And I'm like, no, I can't get rid of my books because the books are just, and one of the things that helped me in personal development reading is that we're so used to reading novels from cover to cover. And when I started reading the personal development books, I started with the idea of reading cover to cover, and it was very, very overwhelming. And so what I do now is I get the book that I want to read, and I pick and choose the chapters that speak to me at the time. And then so that's what I use for that. And then I go on to something else. So it just depends on what book it is that speaks to me at the time. That was a lot of information. Was that what you needed?
I love it. And I find it funny, you talk about the novels. I actually have never really, outside of what they required at school, read a novel. But you give me a personal development book or something like that, and I'm like one of those read it cover to cover. It takes me a long time. I'm not a great reader.
Uh-huh.
But I will read a personal development book all day long.
Yeah.
That's it. I find that interesting. But yes, that's really good because it'll help me help the leaders that are not readers. So
Yeah. Audible is fantastic for that. If they're not readers, Audible is really, really good. A lot of the leaders talk about your car being your university.
yes, I do a lot of that since I'm not a fast reader. So I think it was I think I have John Maxwell a lot on audio too. So
Cool.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else? So I've been wanting to do a little something quick for a long time about placements. So I'll try and make this real quick because I know we're running late. So just some ideas for placement. So we know that it's 14 days to move somebody. Obviously, everybody that's in here pretty much knows that. So one of the things that I do and that I like to focus on is as we bring people on, or as we're helping our leaders figure out where they want to place people, I look at the idea of building to premier. So say I bring Michelle on, and my goal is to help Michelle get to premier. So as she's bringing people onto her team, she'll have, in the beginning, a lot of times you start with just one or two, and some of you, all of a sudden, you have an army on your front line. And so the idea is no army on the front line. When you look at your tree and you see a leader that has an army on their front line, they need a call. No army. And if they don't listen to, some direction and they don't do it, then you've given them the information, and then that it is what it is. So what we want to do is we want to help the leader identify two people that they're going to be able to communicate with, work with, and encourage them and give them the information that we're going to help them to get their volume to 2,000. So that will help them to get to premier. In the meantime, as they bring that extra person on, they will pick that third person that they can have the same conversation with. And so as they're building to premier, you've already got silver building in the background. So I like this design because it gives a direction. So rather than as we bring leaders on and they're enrolling all these people and they just are going on their team, if they don't have some kind of a direction, then the energy doesn't have a direction. So they're not going to be pulling more people in to be able to, because they don't know where they're going. So it's, even if they haven't said, I want to do the business, if they're on LRP, you can communicate with them, then I would suggest that you have that conversation with them. Because when we first start out, we pretty much have to work with what we have. And hopefully with having those conversations with them, then you can also come in the background and you can start also doing the personal development and helping them with their beliefs and their goals and all of that. And hopefully they'll come along with you, and they will be one of those people that move into that builder position, the leader position. Does that make sense?
Blank stares. Nobody's answering.
Makes sense to me.
Okay.
There's a couple of questions there in the chat, Romi.
Okay.
Can you take a look?
Hi, Joyce.
Okay, let's
Hi
see.
guys, how are you doing?
Good.
It's good to see you.
You too. So, for the most part, I do not start with the business opportunity. I start with the oils My goal is to help them to see the benefit of the oils, help them to love the oils, and at the same time, I use third-party stories to talk about how other people are making money doing this as a business. I very seldom say, I'm doing this as a business, I'm making very good money, you should do it.
Mhm.
There are times where, you know, I will have a partner conversation, but in general, it is oils, because oils are what, if you hook somebody on the oils, then that's a good deal. Because
Yeah, I think the reason I ask is that we're doing the 30 days to find your next rock star. And I'm behind on it, but I have been doing it, and that's been really, really good for my mindset. I love the whole put on your t-shirt idea every day and go out there and just remember at the beginning of every day, I'm an oil biz rock star, and I'm looking for other oil biz rock stars. I mean, I don't know why that was so earth shattering for me, but it still is. I just love it. And so, I would like to go for diamond the end of this year, and I have 3 strong silver or nearly silver legs, and now I need a new 4th leg basically. So that's just such a tough call, because, you know, I feel like I want it to be somebody that wants the business, so that can jump right in and partner with me, because I've gotten to that place now where I've got some good builders on my team that are really strong, and it's so fun to work with them and partner with them and do stuff together, and we're high-fiving each other and strategizing. I just love it. So I would love for my 4th leg to be along that same line too. And the 30 days to find your next rock star, that's basically what she's doing, is having a shop for our next big leader kind of thing. So it's just a different mindset and going straight to the business opportunity, because I've always done the same thing. I've always approached from the perspective of the oils. And so to now be shifting my mindset a little bit and strategizing to find a big leader that I can just jump right in right away, it's just a different avenue. So I was just curious if you now having, you know, you said your first few leaders were your family, that you sort of pulled into it, kicking and screaming a little bit. The same story here. And then, you know, now you said you're working with more cold call people you don't know as well. So I just wondered if that had changed at all. And obviously you have a lot more confidence being Blue Diamond and having all the success. I think it does build your confidence that you can talk to people more easily. I just was curious if that has changed how you approach things.
I actually have done as a practice mode. And maybe that's why it didn't work, because I just had it totally in my head that this is totally practice. But I have gone, like I think we were going to, I don't know, we were at the airport, and there was a bus driver, really, really outgoing and funny and all of that. And so we got off the bus, and I just walked up to the bus driver, gave him my card, and said, I'm expanding my business, and you would be awesome. If you're interested, give me a call. So I've done that several times. And so it is, it's not, I think, because it was practice, because that's like, whoa, you know. I haven't done it on purpose for a while. And so it's not to say that I probably shouldn't be doing that. You know, Les Brown talks about, which I'm sure you're familiar with, he talks about how he parked for many, many years. And over this last year, I have parked. And the reason I'm not Presidential Diamond is because I parked. And so there are definitely things that I could have been doing over this last year more on purpose that would have advanced me faster. So it really is a matter of we really got to do stuff on purpose.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I've been out networking a ton, because I've got my website that I've been working on. And so I'm networking a ton in our community, more for that side. And I kind of parked earlier this year too. I was more focused. I got distracted with my website and what I was doing with that, which is all good and everything. But there's a lot of other network marketing companies out there. And so I've gotten to hobnob and get to know, and some of them are pretty successful. And there's so many different business strategies and all that. And, there are those other businesses that they focus almost, the business opportunity is the primary approach and the product is secondary. So I don't know. I don't necessarily want to go that angle all the time. I think especially for us, we've got to find people that are really passionate about the oils. Right. But it is interesting. And with that combined with the 30-day Rockstar Challenge, I just, it's got me curious. I almost feel like sometimes with doTERRA, I wonder if we're almost a little too passive, that we're so like, let everybody just do what they're going to do and fall in love with the oils. And then we'll just deal with the aftermath later when I've placed them on my 5th line under a sharer, and they're just this amazing builder. Whereas if we were more direct and strategic about the business part of it, and then we all wonder why we can't find any builders. And it's maybe because we don't talk about the business opportunity. We're trying to like secretly hope and pray that people will just realize on their own and show up. And I don't know. The right answer is in the middle there somewhere. So
yeah, I agree with you completely. And I believe that a lot of times the fear is what causes that. So I posted a thing in Rockstars the other day. I actually got on Eric Worre's Insider website and listened to a presentation, and the lady was talking about how the women baby boomers are actually they're looking for an opportunity. And that was a thing that that clicked for me, because I'd actually already been thinking about it a little bit. And so then I read that, and it's like, yeah, there are people out there that need the financial opportunity. I mean, when you think about people that are looking at living on Social Security, that's not good. So if we can help the people that are in, that age bracket, that are looking at trying to make ends meet on a very, very low income, then I think that's definitely something to look at, because then it moves out of, yay, I'm going to have a business builder, and it moves into, oh my gosh, I can totally help this person, and where they don't have to scrimp and save and eat ramen noodles for the rest of their life.
Well, and I think even looking around, I don't know if it's the shift in my mindset. I'm sure that's probably part of it. But instead of, I think sometimes in the past, I was so wrapped up in my own mental self-talk of being nervous and do I talk about it, do I not talk about it, let's just focus on the oils, blah, 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 that I wasn't maybe really having very effective conversations with people. Because now I feel like with this whole, I am looking for a 4th leg builder, like with that mindset going into it and having more confidence, I'm having these amazing conversations with professional people that they are unhappy. They are unsatisfied. They're telling me, I had a talk with a chiropractor tonight telling me, I've just come out of a really dark couple of weeks here. I just feel like everything's really negative. There has to be a bigger purpose to this life thing. And, those are comments that I don't know. Was I not hearing those kind of comments before? Is it just that I'm now, looking for a leader, so I'm attracting those kind of conversations? I don't know. But now I just feel like there's a ton of people out there that are disgruntled. This chiropractor has $120,000 in student loan debt.
Wow.
Like, holy crap, so I don't know. I think, somebody was commenting here. You're right, Michelle, we don't have to be shy about this. It's not going to be for most people, but if we don't at least talk about it,
Right.
I was praying for a way out of my job. I have a science background, hydrogeologist, on the surface was dedicated to geology and to my career and all that kind of thing. But in the background, I was praying for a way out of my job and hadn't told anybody that. So Tracy hadn't brought up that there was a business opportunity at the end of that class, I would still be working 50 hours a week and missing my daughter. So
Right.
I don't know.
Right. So we're going to stop the recording and then we'll hang out. So that way if people want to get on the recording, it won't be like long. So I'll hang with you as long as you guys want to hang.